Alright everybody, we're on day 4 of this truck rebuild, engine rebuild. Shop's a complete and total mess, but that's just the way it goes on these big projects where you're tearing down both an engine and a truck at the same time while trying to get other work done. So yesterday we just continued to tear down on the block. Took the gear case off, gears out, the flywheel housing, took all that off, and began cleaning on everything. We've got the case cleaned up, the block cleaned up externally and everything, cleaned up the gasket surfaces on them. Same with the flywheel housing. I got my block all prepped and ready to start taking liner protrusion measurements. And so in order to do that, you need to clean the surface of the block first off. I usually take a new razor blade and just scrape it down once with that, and then get a wire wheel on a die grinder and wire wheel it clean. And you want to make sure that you're using a wire wheel and not something that's abrasive, like a Scotch-Brite pad or something like that, because you do not want to take metal off of the surface of the block. I know a lot of people, when the engine's down this far, they're going to say, well, just send it out to machine shop. And if it's necessary, if you see enough aging in the top of the block, if it's not flat, okay, sure. But honestly, this block's in good shape. I don't see the need. I don't like the downtime that it creates. I mean, yeah, that'd be nice, but we can get by just fine and have just as good of an engine and not go through that. So after wire wheeling the top of the block, then I went and cleaned the bolt holes for the head bolts out. And so first, blow it out with an air nozzle and make sure there's any oil or water that's down there gets blown out, because if you have any liquid down there when you put head bolts in, it can stop the bolt from going down and your head bolt won't get tight. Theoretically, it probably could even damage the block if you put too much pressure on it. So yeah, always clean out any bolt holes that could have liquid in them. But then beyond that, like on this one, I knew it was going to be fine. All the head bolts came out really easy because I'd just been in it a couple years ago. But if you got an engine that's had a head gasket blow or something like that, then it's extremely important that you run a tap down all the holes and clean the threads out really good. If there's carbon buildup or whatever, you got to get those threads clean. A tap isn't 100% necessary. You can just take an old head bolt and with a cut-off wheel cut 4 or 5 slots vertically down the threads of the bolt, and those will actually clean the threads out really well. But anytime you pull gunk out of the block, you just want to brake clean it back off of the tap or bolt that you're using to do it. So then after doing that, I next, before I can take liner measurements, I want to make sure that there's nothing standing up on the surface of this block at all. Actually, prior to all of that, I will take it back. I did take a Scotch-Brite wheel to the very outside perimeter of the block, because you get paint buildup and rust buildup right on the edges, and the wire wheel isn't as effective as knocking that down, and you don't want the edge of your block to be higher than the machine center where it really counts. So then back to what you do after cleaning the head bolts up is you want to take, you got different options. You want to take something and make sure that the surface of the block is completely clean. That's a boat stone there, and just carefully running it over the surface of the block will take anything off of it that isn't perfectly flat. Other option you have is you can use a file, and it works fine, just work it. But we do take care to blunt the end of the file, because a lot of times they're very sharp, and sometimes if you're not careful, they can gouge the surface of the block. Ohio Cat, they used to use an inline sander like this and run it over the block. I've tried that before. It's not my favorite. I'd rather use something more manual. Just more comfortable with that. So anyway, yeah, I expect, I'm pretty confident I'm going to be cutting counterbores in all 6 holes here. 2 of them's been done already, but they might need tweaked a little bit to get the protrusion height perfect, because since we decided to send the head out to be O-ringed after all, we're going to want the protrusion on this block to be sitting right around 4 thousandths of an inch, 3.5 to 4.5 ideally. If we can get the liners to line up right there, I'd be pretty happy with it. So yeah, just I think right now that's where we're at with the engine. Still cleaning and prepping, and today's the 4th of July, so it should be a quiet day. I don't think we're gonna have very many people in the shop, so it'd be a good day to get the liner protrusions measured and the counterbores cut if we need to. So well, and one other thing that I did do, if I can find it, there it is. Cleaned up the spacer plate yesterday, which is also necessary when you're setting liner protrusion. And so this plate is only a couple years old. We replaced it earlier, and so I carefully cleaned it up with a wire wheel as well. And then following cleaning it up, I got a micrometer and mic'd the thickness around each cylinder at multiple locations, you know, 4 or 6 spots for each cylinder, and confirmed that it's uniform. We got 33.5 thousandths all the way across it, so I'm happy with that, and we can reuse it. So yeah, hopefully we get that done today. If I can get counter bores cut, I always feel like that's a point in the engine build where it kind of goes downhill. It's less tedious work anyway. So, well, I'll catch you guys up later.